Okay, huge good morning and welcome to everyone. Really nice to see you all. It's actually somewhat of a comfort to see familiar faces every Thursday, and if you're maybe not a familiar face, that is, you're joining for one of the first times, it's really nice to have you. You're always more than welcome. One cool thing now, I told some of the guys who are doing financial course with us in night school last night, I was telling them, I'm just pumped about this, so I'm just going to tell you as well. So my neighbour just got back out of hotel quarantine. He was a coach with the Olympics. So the Australian Olympic team, and it was really cool. He just got back yesterday. Our kids are sort of best friends, and he came around and dropped on the doorstep, doing the right thing, of course. But all this Australian Olympic apparel and merch. So like, I'm just wearing like the coolest Tokyo trackies right now. Give you a little look, you know, same ones like you'd see the swimmers and everything walk out in. So I'm like Business Connect polo on top and Olympic athlete on the bottom, so feeling ready to go, but representing, which is pretty cool. So I was pumped. But he just said, he goes, oh, we were just leaving and they just had it all out in boxes. They were chucking it out otherwise. So I felt pretty honoured he thought of me. So but, yeah, anyway, no purpose to that story. I was just pumped, and yeah, maybe just been in lockdown too long. But hey, shout out to Addie, who joins every week from Bali. Just Addie, I'm so sorry, forgive me, I've actually forgotten your wife's name, but had a beautiful baby girl during the week, and he gets up at 4 a.m. to join us every week consistently since we've started, and they were proud parents to a daughter, and sent me a photo, and yeah, it was pretty gorgeous. So huge congrats to you guys, mate, and yeah, we love having you as part of our world. And yeah, we were saying earlier, those, you know, wakes up at 4 a.m. anyway for Business Connect. Now he just doesn't go to sleep at night, just looks after the baby, powers through and gets up. But it's very good, very good. Hey, this morning, we often do sort of throw to people, say hi, do a couple of things. We're going to have two people sharing with us this morning, and I'll introduce them in a moment. But what I thought I would do is I want to just ask a question of a couple of people, just, you know, going to live dangerously here. But just going to throw a question out, ask a couple of people spontaneously. I just wanted to ask, and just, I guess, get feelers for some of us guys. The question I was going to put out, and I'll just call on a couple of people to answer it, is what's the most transformational thing that you have done for yourself? And maybe as it relates to you as a business person, you as a person of faith, as a family person, whether it's a mum, a dad, whatever it might be. But I just want to, personally, what is the most transformational, or one of these, sometimes you think, has it got to be the, but one of the most transformational things you might have done could be something based to do with your routine. It could be, you know, a one-off thing you did that just changed a whole stack of your perspective. First person I did want to throw that question to is Henry Hawkins, who is a great long-time friend. I know she won't hate me for putting me, or she might, but I don't mind. So we go back a long way. But Henry, for you, can you think of a transformational thing that you have done that has still impacts your life today?
Yes, it's funny, as soon as you said it, immediately it came to mind, making the choice to trust my leadership. Because I like a lot of control. I like to know what's going on and what's happening in my space. And sometimes in trusting your leadership, you have to let go of that. So letting go of control and trusting your leadership.
Oh, well, no, good answer. Concise and powerful and challenging. Thank you. Very, very good. All right, I might throw out Jürgen. You're a faithful part of this Connect, and a great guy. Mate, what about you?
I'd say it has to be reading Psalm 23 out loud 2-3 times a day, especially when times are really dark. Just hearing the word and speaking the word has really helped me get through some really tough things. Yeah, absolutely love it, mate. It's so true. It's somewhat of a sort of centering, you know, bringing it back to God. I think great to have those things that almost ground us in the word daily, and have that as part. You know, it's good in concept, but to have something that you can do that does it, I actually love that. And I might
I might even give that a crack. So thank you, mate. It's awesome. Hey, Shannon Kelly, sorry to put you on the spot. But what about yourself?
I find that just constantly positioning myself in an environment where I'm not the smartest person in the room, people who can see bigger, have done gone further, pushed me to see what's possible. Just always being willing to stretch and actually see further than what I probably can in my current situation. So I've talked to many times about even just this connect, but even in business space, adding coaches into my world, joining masterminds, being in environments that stretch me to see what's possible. It challenges me to the core, and it actually leads me to trust God in the impossible things that I don't realize in my current state. So yeah, that's been a big one for me in this last couple of years.
Wow, I love that. I really love that. Yeah, that's a challenge. It's a challenge I'm going to continue to press on myself as well. So thank you. That's a really good reminder. Thank you. Okay, who am I going to pick on? Liam Glover. Last time we met in person, Liam, you were on crutches, but I know that was a long time ago, so you'll be doing much better. But what about you, mate?
The thing I find most compelling is what I would say is vicarious success. And that is rather than me wanting to be the one who gets the success comes through empowering the team and allowing them to flourish. So if they're having a win, I'm having a win, and our organization is having a win. So my goal is always to work out what I can do to best enable the team to flourish and succeed. And if they're winning, I'm winning. So
yeah. Love it, mate. And I've always loved and appreciated your perspectives on leadership as well. I know even when we chatted, I remember you just speaking about your heart to really lead and empower relationally, and talking about servant leadership. And mate, I think, I love the spirit in which you operate. And I could imagine as a leader in your spheres of influence, that's I'm sure that's appreciated, and I'm sure the fruit of it goes a long way. So thank you.
Thanks,
really love that. Sarah Eshu, or have you recently married? I've always known you, that surname on you, and it's still on your screen. That's why I said it. But has that changed?
It has changed. Okay. It's just a really long last name and difficult to pronounce, so I just haven't changed it on here. Yeah. The most profound thing that's happened, I would say journaling. I've taken up journaling 4 months ago, just because I have the dates in my journal, and I haven't done that since, I'm going to be really honest, since Bible college days, and that was a long time ago. But that's honestly been really refreshing to my mind, to my soul. I just feel different starting the day. Yeah, just journaling after reading the word. It's just been really good. I highly recommend it.
I love that. Journaling's come onto my radar a little bit lately. I don't know. God might be challenging me. I think it's something I need to just throw myself into. I love it. Thank you. Hey, last but definitely not least, Mary Barker. Sorry, you just put a spoonful of something into your mouth. Mary, you're a prayer warrior, among other things, and I consider you a friend. What about yourself?
I was actually asked this question yesterday, so I'm a little bit prepped. It's a lot about death to self, which it sounds super spiritual, but you think you've died to yourself, and then God just takes you to another level, and you die to yourself, and then God just takes you to another level, and you die to yourself. But that it's also about being quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry are probably my 3 lessons at the moment. Listening, it's so easy to speak. And in fact, I'd rather sit and listen here today than speak. It's so easy to speak because, our head is full of everything we know. But Richard Branson famously said, we learn nothing by listening to ourselves speak. So if you can actually listen, if you can stop yourself speaking and actually listen, it's a massive lesson, and things shift. And I gave the example yesterday about how I was in a business chat and someone was about to say, we don't need you. And that they were talking about their problems. And I said, tell me more about that. And it opened up this whole thing about how they misunderstood what we do. And we were able to save that business meeting and get a new client from it. So that whole, just don't speak, just say, tell me more about that. Tell me what's happening with you. Tell me all about this. And I'm doing a reno on a strata property, and the strata are holding me up. And this is the slow to become angry, because it's really easy for me to go to not be myself. And then I only end up apologizing to everybody. And so that's been a big lesson to me, is to be respectful and to not become angry. It's been tough, but I'm learning, I'm growing.
I love it, Mary. Wow, thank you. That's and you are, by the way, a very good active listener. Always noticed that about you. But
thank you, Dan.
I love that.
Tell me more about that, Dan.
Yeah. Definitely, I definitely will. And we can catch up after all these lockdowns in person again. But no, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for those little snippets of wisdom. Gee, we just have the people in our world continue just to amaze. Well, it's no surprise, to be honest, but we just have amazing people in our world. So much substance. No one was prepped with that, by the way. And I just thought they all gave us just incredible gold. One thing I did want to say, just to commend you and thank you as a group too, something I noticed, and I just think, in our church, Pastor Brian and Bob, you've always built the culture where, we engage and we, like Brian's always said, we start on time, we leave on time. I'm always just so blown away that on this Zoom forum, we keep it to the 45 minutes, but people stick around and they're faithful and right to the last prayer. Just something I noticed, that people always stay right until the last prayer, then go. People don't. So I don't know. It just, I'm not even saying it to try and cast culture or, say what we want. You guys just do it. And we've never asked for it. So I just want to say thank you. It's something I noticed. And yeah, I just think it's awesome that, you see yourselves as, even if it's in the background while you're getting ready for work or whatever, you still, your participation matters. And I just want to say thanks to the group. But let's keep moving. Two people that are going to share today. Well, I'm just going to introduce the first one, is Christy Brisbane, who is, we have met as we were highlighting some of our young guns. Kristy is, she embodies a young gun in every way, shape and form. She's just an absolute delight of a person. She's built a great business right through COVID, is, in the midst of a whole stack of challenges. I don't know if she's going to maybe share on some of that this morning. I'm not 100% sure, but just watching her navigate a business that it could be very easily crippled by the circumstances that many of us are facing, watching her navigate that with just such an innovative and fresh spirit has been inspiring, to say the least. And I just love it. She, in every, she's an entrepreneur through and through. She's an awesome part of she's one of our youth leaders here at Hills. And Kristy, we love you. We're so grateful you're part of our world. And I ask you to share 10, 15 minutes or so. And I'm just going to get you to jump on and take it from here. So welcome. We're so thrilled to have you inputting with us this morning, Kristy.
Thanks so much, Dan, and hi to everyone who's in here. I do want to just preface by saying I'm definitely the youngest person in here, which means that I probably have the least to add to this space right now. But I hope what I say inspires you just to, I don't know, have a think about what you do and where your future's heading. But I'm a little all over the place. So my thoughts might be like a bit here and a bit there and not really cohesive. So like I said, I hope you can understand at least or take one thing away from today. But yeah, I'm excited to share and I'm very nervous. So if I'm shaking, just ignore that. I think we can all ignore that very easily. But what I thought we could do is if you have a piece of paper in front of you or your phone to take some notes, I know that always helps me to remember what was said, because once we get to the last point, you probably forgot what the first point is. So if you have a piece of paper, write 5 numbers down the side of your page, because I want to work through 5 things that you can just keep in the back of your mind that will help you hopefully in business, but also in just life. And obviously with you being here in this Connect, it means that you're a leader of some description. So you're either a leader in church or you have your own business and or you're a career person and you're, playing the corporate game. So these are just 5 things that I do and I've learned over the last year and a half that have helped me be who I am. But a little bit about me. Obviously, my name is Kristy. I am still studying at uni, which I'll get into a bit later. But I kind of fell into business by accident, I would say. I was going to be in the Air Force, and that was my plan A, and I didn't have a plan B. And my business studies teacher, I did business studies by accident in school, and I did really well. My business studies teacher saw something and kind of thought, I went to a Christian school, he kind of thought that maybe the Air Force wasn't actually going to work out. He had some sort of conviction that that wasn't right, and that was the only thing I was going to do. I was not doing anything else. So he, without telling me, used my year 11 marks to apply for a business course in Sydney. And then when the Air Force didn't work out for a bunch of reasons, that was plan B that I didn't even know existed until all of that fell through. Then I got the offer, and the rest is history. So someone else actually had my best interests in mind, not myself. And then I was just going to study this degree. Business marketing was what it was and still is, and work in a marketing agency, because I've always been creative, always loved marketing, branding, all of that stuff. And that I just wanted to work for someone else. I never, ever thought I would be my own boss, never. And it kind of all just came together. A whole bunch of stuff happened in the late months of 2019. And then going into the start of 2020, I had thought of a really good idea. And then obviously lockdown happened, but that just gave me more time. It wasn't even a burden. It just gave me more time to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. And yeah, none of my family have businesses. They always have been working for someone else. My mum's a nurse. My dad works at one of the 4 banks, doing investigations and stuff like that. So I've never grown up in like a business orientated family. And when I first told my parents, I was thinking, oh, I should start, something on the side. Maybe they're like, are you crazy? Like, why would you do that? That's so much effort, and it probably won't even pay off. Like, they weren't necessarily talking me out of it, but they were just confused because that's not the environment that I grew up in. So that's a little bit about me. And so that might make what I say completely irrelevant, but it also might bring some new perspective to some of us, or some of you who've been doing business for years and years and years. But yeah, 5 things. The first thing is probably what I like most, and that is to stay curious. So your curiosity is your leverage over other people. It's the power of being one step ahead. So being curious, I have always been a curious person, and it drives people insane. I ask way too many questions. So my business, I didn't even explain my business. My business is a house cleaning and housekeeping service. Sorry, that was probably an important thing to put in there. But mute that one. There we go. Yeah, so that was probably an important thing to say. My business all sorts sorted. We started about 1.5 years ago. I have 15 people on my team now. We're just in the Hills area, around Hills campus. Yeah, that's my business. So there you go. So I forgot to put that in there. But what I was going to say is my curiosity. I'm always asking tens of thousands of questions. Someone in like the insurance industry, I'll be having like a meeting with them, and it's not necessarily about what insurance is great for me. We've covered that. And then I'll start saying, oh, how does this work? Which is completely irrelevant to my situation. And I know I'll probably never even need it, but I just want to know how it works and what it does and why people have it. So it drives people insane. I ask so many questions, but I find that that's one of my biggest assets, because I always want to learn something new. And there's a type of curiosity called epistemic curiosity. So that's where you desire for new knowledge that motivates you to learn new ideas, eliminate information gaps, and solve intellectual problems. So it's a problem-solving type of curiosity. You want to learn new things so that you can solve a future problem. That's the kind of curiosity that I like. And some people call it being street smart. So you know a whole bunch of stuff that makes you a great candidate for that one extra person you would spend time with if you were stuck on a deserted island. You know how people ask these questions? If you were stuck on a deserted island, who's the one person you would have with you? Pretty sure about 5 people would say me, because I'm street smart and I know a little bit about a bunch of stuff. So a ton of different topics. I could tell you very quickly what it was. So that was a very big discovery, was learning that I'm curious, and the type of curiosity that wants to solve problems. I'm really good at problem solving. That was really big in like finding my identity, because I was never the smart kid in school. I wasn't the dumb kid either, but I was never the smart kid. I was never the top of the class. I was always just above average. Everyone would be getting 60s and I'd be getting 70s. I was just that one tiny bit above like the normal bracket. but I was never the top. I was never like the top 5 that they call out or anything like that, or the top mark. So being like finding curiosity meant that you might not be like smart on paper in marks when people are marking your work, not good at maths, definitely not good at maths. But I am intelligent because I can problem solve and I can adapt quickly and things like that. So my curiosity was a big thing. And kind of what I want to encourage you is to think about your curiosity and to remind yourself every day, have a rule that at the end of the day, you think to yourself, what have I learned today? And that saying is true. You learn something new every day. And if you haven't learned something new, you should you still have time to change that. If you ask yourself at 11 p.m. when you're going to sleep, or whatever time you go to sleep, and you say, have I learned something new today? You still have time to change that, right? So it's not the end of the day. And most intelligent people, in my opinion, are the people who have a commitment to continuously learn and educate themselves. So staying curious will keep you on your toes, keep you learning new things, keeping you relevant. And in Matthew 7, verse 7 to 8, which everyone would have heard before, it says, ask and it will be given to you, seek and you'll find, knock and the door will be opened. Everyone who asks receives, the one who seeks finds, and the one who knocks, the door will be opened. So kind of that one, what I get from that is the seek and you'll find. If you're constantly looking for new education and staying curious, you'll find that information and that information will be given to you. So seek out new knowledge. Knowledge builds wisdom, and wisdom gives you the key to inspire and educate others. And that's, I'll get to the inspiring others part. But number 2 is to find perspective daily. So I only have my smallest toe dipped into my business journey. I know that I have way more ahead of me, and what I've achieved so far, people are like, oh my gosh, you must be so proud of yourself. My dad is the first person to say, no, you can't think about what you have achieved. You have to think about what you still have to achieve, and don't get so stuck on what you've done. You have to keep thinking about what more can you do? How much further can you go? How many more people can you help? So like I said, I'm only the tiniest bit through my journey, and some of you in this room are so wise and have been through it all with your heads nearly completely underwater of your business journey. You're almost completely, at the end of what you're doing. Others, halfway. You get the analogy. So when I say that I need to find perspective, it's a value that I know I'll need to hold and exercise until the end of the trials I have ahead of me. And it's probably going to be minuscule to what I have been through is probably going to be minuscule to what's still coming. So to date, some of my biggest stresses, which I'm sure will make a lot of you chuckle, there's 5 things I wrote down. One of the first problems was having a team member call in sick the night before a big job, and I didn't have a plan B replacement for them. That's a problem. And sure, it's happened a few times since then. I haven't really learned my lesson, but that was a stress. And some of you would be thinking, what the heck, that's not stressful. But for someone who's never had a business and doesn't have parents in business, I was like, what the heck am I supposed to do? Like, they've called in sick. I can't cover for them. I've got my own job. Like, the rest of the team are working. Oh my gosh, what do I do? Like, the client's going to hate me. I'm going to get a bad I'm a stressor. Like, I stress about everything. One of the second problems I've gone through is, a client not paying an invoice, but my invoices, a housekeeping and cleaning service. So our invoices are around like the $200, $300 mark. Sorry. So a client not paying like a $300 invoice, that's not going to cripple my business. Sure, it's annoying because it sits there saying unpaid until you take it off the system. But that was, it's stressful and it annoys me. And then one time I quoted a 5-day job. So a brand new huge house had been built and we were going in to clean it. I quoted to get it done in 5 days, ended up taking 2 weeks. And obviously we couldn't bump the quote up because we'd set a quote and agreed to, we'll finish it in this time frame. Ended up taking 2 weeks. So that was a loss, but I learned heaps at that job. And then having a full-time staff member with a full schedule of clients leave with no notice. And we were already at capacity, so we were taking no new clients. So that was an interesting one, but they're just some of the trials. And with each of these that I can even remember, ask my parents because they'll have a ton more trials that I've been through. They remember more than me. My brain chooses to forget the bad things. But my point here is finding perspective in the midst of your challenge, in the midst of your trial, is far more beneficial than once you've overcome it. So when I say those problems I've been through, I can see how silly they were now because I'm out of it. but I never found perspective when I was in them. I let them stress me to the point where I was like, oh my gosh, is this even the right thing to be doing? Like, what's happening? So finding perspective in the midst of your challenge is far more beneficial. The very, very, very wise person who I know is in this Zoom right now, she probably will forget she even said it, but it stuck out to me. I've looked up to her for ages. And she said, to find perspective, you have to look up at the vision and the summit of your mountain, and then look down to the feet of Jesus. I'll say it again, because when I heard that for the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So to find perspective, you have to look up at the vision and the summit of your mountain, where you're going, and then look down at the feet of Jesus. When you're stuck in the middle of your trial and your challenge, you have to look up about where you're going, get some perspective. What am I actually doing this for? And then look down and put it laid on Jesus, right? Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. Everyone knows that verse. And I just find that, yeah, finding perspective whilst you're in the challenge is far more beneficial than once you've finished. And hindsight is great, but yeah, I mean, it's really good. So I'll speed it up. Number 3, which is one of my favorite points, that is to work hard. So no successful business or career is not based around hard work. At the core of everything, working hard is one of the biggest assets to a business owner. And Margaret Thatcher, who I'm sure most of you would remember, former British Prime Minister, she said, look at a day where you are supremely satisfied at the end. It's never a day where you lounge around and do nothing. It's a day where you've had everything to do and you've done it. And I just love that because it's so true. If I come to the office and I have a whole to-do list of things to do and I don't feel motivated and I sit around and I don't do them, I'm never going to feel satisfied at the end of the day. But if I've done a huge to-do list and I've got all these things done and I can go home and say, I achieved this today, so good, then you feel so satisfied with yourself. And that's because you worked hard. And hard work is often intertwined with not giving up, because giving up is the easy way out. The hard way is to stay persistent, to not give up, and to stay grounded when everything around you is changing. Ultimately, the winner is the guy who doesn't give up, right? If you're in a race and you give up, you're not going to win. If you're in a race and you persist and you go for it and you work hard, you're probably going to win that race, dependent on if there's anyone around you or not. So growing up, one of my favorite quotes was found on the wall in my Year 5 classroom. The teacher loved the quote, and so I came to love the quote too. And that is, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And I'm sure you've all heard it again, but I'll say it once more. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And I think I love that quote because during school, I didn't really have a quote unquote talent. Couldn't sing, couldn't dance, wasn't great at sport, wasn't great at running, really couldn't swim. They'd start the race with me still in the pool, next race. So I loved it because it taught me that if you worked hard, you can beat anyone and you can outdo, your own limits that you had before. So I just love that quote, hard work beats talent. You don't have to be talented necessarily to achieve what you want. And, anything worth having is worth working for. And anything worth achieving has never been achieved by someone who gave up or someone who didn't have a sense of purpose. So the hard work and the commitment is only sustainable if you do have a true purpose that you're working for. And I know that my purpose is just to help people in any way I can. So have a think about what your purpose is, and then you'll know you can sustain the hard work. Number 4 is to inspire others. I'll go really quickly, Dan. I'm sorry, I know I'm going over my time. But number 4 is to inspire others. I recently started a podcast just to use up the spare time I don't have. And the whole point of it is to get guests on that are from all different walks of life, interview them and ask them what their original inspiration was. Because if you have a think back to what your original inspiration was, maybe it was a person saying something, maybe it was an event that you went through, a challenge, your mum or your dad, they instilled something in you, your original inspiration behind the business that you work in or the business that you started or what you do every day, right? What was your original inspiration? Mine was a school teacher. You can listen to the podcast and explain it. But, having it I wanted to start that podcast so that other people could hear your story. So, and hear the stories of people who aren't given a platform necessarily normally. And those stories are so inspirational to other people. So, it's early days for the podcast and it's just for fun, but it teaches me something new. So it keeps me curious. And it's called The Original Inspiration if you want to look into it. But what I was trying to say is inspiring others is a huge part of being a business owner, I've come to find. And if you can't sit down and spend time with people who are behind you so you can pull them up, and you don't sit down to spend time with people who can inspire you, then you're not going to get filled up. So inspiring other people and educating other people is a really great thing. So number 4, inspire people. And number 5, last point, is to get out of your own way. So you might find yourself on the road behind a slow driver and you're running late to an important meeting. That may mean that you're yelling to the driver, get out of my way, get out of my way, I'm in a rush, get out of my way. Or you might have encountered a few unsupportive people along your journey. I know I have. Being so young, people very quickly write me off, saying that, oh, you can't do it, what are you doing? Like, go back to uni and all of this. So, you might actually think that other people are your problem when most of the time you're your own problem. The way you limit yourself and back yourself into a corner, that's a problem sometimes. So get out of your own way is my last piece of advice. And what I mean by this is your mindset, your possibilities, your capacity, and your God-given gifts. You might think that you have none. I definitely thought I had none. But as soon as I got out of my own way, I just found that all these doors were opening. And instead of saying, oh no, there's no way I'm going to get that quote, there's all these other bigger businesses that have been here for so much longer, or there's no way that they're going to say yes to me, I'm so young and ignorant and I don't know anything, and or there's no way those people are going to pay any attention to me, my parents haven't had a business, I don't know what I'm doing. And it's true, I have no idea what I'm doing half the time. So yeah, get out of your own way is my last bit of inspiration. I'm really sorry, Dan, for going over my time, but I hope everyone got something out of that. And the last thing I'll leave you is my favorite quote of all time, and that is, success behind success is to do the common thing uncommonly well. There we go, mic drop. Thanks, everyone.
Sensational, Kristy, and you got nothing to apologize for. That was so good. Really appreciate you. That was, I got so much out of that. I took a lot of notes to each one of those 5 points, and thank you. Sorry if you felt like you had to rush through, but you just loaded us with so much gold. And yeah, I'll send it to you later, but there was a lot of encouragement coming through in that chat. So appreciate you. Thank you. That was so good. And you didn't seem nervous too at all, by the way. You just stepped into that space and led it and communicated well. And well done. Thank you. Exciting days ahead. You can definitely say that with confidence. Well, a great friend of mine is a guy called Stu Hawkins. Stu and his wife Henry, we heard from Henry earlier. Just an incredible couple. I've been involved with this family. I had the honor to be involved with them for many years, a chance to marry, conduct the wedding of one of their kids, and we've served in ministry together and even interact in business together to a degree. But Stu, pleasure, mate. I'm just going to hand straight to you. Bring us home for today.
Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Kristy. That was flipping textbook. That was, and you've done all of that, and you're still at uni. And yeah, I'm with you with the curious thing as well. So amazing. Thank you so much. Hard act to follow if that's a politically correct thing to say. All right. So thank you, Dan. Thank you, all of you. Right, you all faithfully turn up. You're all part of this Business Connect every week. And if I'm honest, it would be a bit rubbish if you weren't here. It's like, you guys are what makes Business Connect awesome. And I'm very aware of the caliber of the people I'm speaking to this morning. So, and just a very quick shout out to Dan. If you need someone in your corner, Dan's your man. He is like the champion. He has championed me so much over the years. It's unbelievable. So you need to get to know Dan if you don't already. All right, very, very quick bit about me. I run a software company. Henrietta and I now run a software company called Red Arc, and we work with nonprofits and we build apps that help them do fundraising more efficiently. We've been in this church since 2006, when myself and our now adult 4 kids came over from the UK to do college, never went home. And I just have to say, it's been like the most, it's been the best 15 years of our life. I personally I know that like where we are now is like a huge part of that is, what being in this church has done for us in the last 15 years. So fully aware of, the debt that we have to being here. So anyway, right. There's been a lot of people, they start their stories on this, and the stories go something like, I started my first business when I was on the playground. I'm now my 5th business. It's all been super, super successful, and I've got this, that, and the other. I just want to say that is not my story. I just want to get that out there. Basically, most of my life I wanted to be a musician, so it was a bit of a surprise when God made it really clear at the end of college that his suggestion was that we start another business. Like Henry and I had started ventures when we were in the UK, but started was the operative word, and we had pretty much demonstrated zero aptitude for making a success out of any of these ventures. So it was a bit of a surprise when God suggested this, and but obedience is a good thing. So I was obedient, got going, and made a huge amount of mistakes, like you do when you've got zero aptitude, right? But one thing, it was like the saving grace, probably because God knew that, we needed a saving grace, right? So the one thing that I kind of got right, was I always managed to have people around me, like the right people around me, who kind of just guided us through and kept us going, which is why, I believe why we're still here 10 years later. So what I thought I'd do in a few minutes here is just tell you about a couple of those people and kind of the roles that they played, and hopefully inspire you that if I can still be here 10 years later with the right people, oh my goodness, how much more can you be with the head start that you all have got, right? So a couple of people in a few minutes. So first one, Stephen Crouch. I mean, a lot of you know Stephen Crouch. And the reason I'm telling you about Stephen Crouch is because what do you do when you start a business and you've no clue? Well, you join Business Connect, obviously, right? That's what you do. Now, back then, Business Connect was out in the hills. It was in Stephen Crouch's boardroom. It was full of people wearing suits who really intimidated me, who were like really successful business people. But, I needed that information. So I turned up every fortnight, right? And there's like this fortnightly cycle that was going where I had about enough stamina for 14 days. And so by the end of by day 13, I was like, I can't do this anymore. God, help me. Please get me to do something I can actually do, right? I'd go to Business Connect, I'd get encouraged, and, I'd get the strength for the next 14 days. Now, through this whole thing, like that's why I used to go to Business Connect, by the way. Like Stephen Crouch, obviously very successful business person, right? And it's me right in the beginning, fairly obviously not knowing what I'm doing, right? Stephen never, ever, ever made me feel like that. He always treated me with the utmost respect. He helped. He gave me advice when I asked for it. All right. There was clearly an inequality, but I never felt that. Right. And what happens is when people treat you like that, when people over time, what happens is eventually you start believing it, and then you start living it, and you start moving on. So you all need this is like person number one. You all need someone in your life who's going to accept you from where you're at. All right, person number two is that person, you need someone that accepts where you're at, but you also need someone who's going to be honest with you, right? So, or in this case, the drive-by encounter, right? So the thing about drive-by encounters is the person driving by often doesn't know what impact they've had on your life. And I'm sure Peter Lowe has no idea what impact he had on my life that morning. So we've moved on a few years, business going, but it's not going great. So Peter kindly agreed to give me some time. So I go in there to get some pointers because he's like a smart bloke and all that. And I go in, sit in his office, he asks me a few questions, and then proceeds to totally dismantle everything we are doing. He goes through every single thing we're doing, tells me why it won't work, why it's rubbish, and why we need to do something different. 100% of the things he told me was wrong. The whole thing was over in 20 minutes. I was out on the street, I phoned up Henrietta, I'm like, this crazy thing just happened. But even then, right, I knew that it was a good thing, even though I was shocked. But, I knew it was a good thing because, well, basically he was right. That's one thing. And that precipitated change. So I changed. So you need someone who's going to accept you. You need someone who's going to be, kind enough, honest enough to tell you the truth, right? And then you need a champion. I could have talked about Dan, but I'm going to talk about Kevin. Now, bit of context of Kevin. Kevin runs Blackboard in Australia, right? You probably don't know Blackboard. They're the biggest software company that we work for. And I'll give you an analogy of who they are in the non-profit world. They're like Gloria Jeans in their heyday. So you've got to imagine Gloria Jeans in their heyday, everything knows their name, a quality product, and you always got to choose them over Michelle's, right? So there's them. And basically with this tiny little company, we had no chance of speaking to them. So cutting a long story short, we end up at their conference. I'm standing next to somebody, the one person I know, he introduced me to Kevin. They're building this ecosystem where they need partners who, who can help them build apps inside their thing, right? Turns out, we're the kind of person they're looking for. And basically, I end up having coffee with Kevin, right? And he's like head of this whole big thing, like, Gloria Jeans, and there's us. And I don't remember the coffee, but what I do remember is at the end of it, he's like, well, you guys need some office space. Why don't your team come work in our office? And I have no idea why he did it. So we go to his office. It works great. He's always coming around. Our 2 core products or ideas, he just popped around the corner to give us some ideas, right? And then he does what champions do. Champions, and Dan is amazing at this. You need to get around Dan. They introduce you up. The Australian branch was like part of this much bigger US organization. So he starts introducing us up to all the people in this really big software company, right? Turns out we're quite good at building apps for them, which helps. But basically it was Kevin, right? Kevin, this wasn't us, this was Kevin. Kevin just kept introducing us, telling everybody how awesome we were, like probably overselling us, to be honest, right? So, and this went on, and then last June just gone, okay? They had this developer conference, I've got the t-shirt on, and they invited us to speak. Now, you've got to bear in mind, these are people we couldn't even get a meeting with 3 years ago, and they invited us to speak at this conference, right? And then they gave us a title for the talk, and the title for the talk was Building a Successful Blackboard Apps Business. And bear in mind, I couldn't even build any kind of business. They're getting us to do this. So anyway, I laughed out loud, turned up, pretty much told them the same story I just told you, and just explain that, we had no idea how to build a successful business of any kind, but here's some good principles for you, right? And I just told them a whole bunch of stuff from church. So there you go. Now, this is all good, right? This is cool, but you may be sitting here thinking, well, that's great. Stu has some great people as well, okay? That's not really going to help you. So I'm just very quickly, in the last 3 minutes, going to give you a couple of quick thoughts on, maybe how this can help. I know that God put all those people in my world. That wasn't me, that was God's grace, right? That was God's favor. He did that. But we did do, a couple of things that helped, all right? So I'm just going to give you a couple of those. And number one is be nice. I mean, seriously, that was the most important thing we ever did building business, was be nice. You cannot have the right people in your world if you're not nice. All right, it's literally impossible. And, I said that at the conference, but to you guys, all right, I can tell you a bit more. Number one, be nice basically means acting like you know perfectly well how to act because you go to church every Sunday. All right, outside of church, people think that's extraordinary. To us, it's normal. Number three is what they're really seeing. Because I did ask Kevin why he did all of this, right? He was like, well, you're a nice guy. But I believe without getting spiritual, I believe what he really was seeing, right? Because we've all got the Holy Spirit inside of us. So, he was just seeing that. I was just able to get out of the way long enough for him to see it. So be nice. Number two, be in community. You clearly know about community because you're here, right? But being community, it's very hard to get the right people, the right people around you. If you're not in any kind of community, that would literally be impossible, I suspect. And number three, and this is the most obvious thing I'm going to tell you this morning, and where we're going to wrap this up is, okay, so we all need the right people in our world, but we are all the right people for someone else. We've all had those people, and we all need to be those people. We need to take that seriously. We need to be responsible for that. And that right there is where I'm going to leave this and hand back to Dan.
I love it, Stu. I love it, mate. Find someone that can accept you, someone that can be honest with you, someone that can champion you. Be nice, be in community, and be that person, be the right person for someone else. Mate, so much gold, and you just drop that so concisely. Hey, do you want to pray us out, Stu? Do you want to pray over us? Send us into the rest of our week with, if you can just do that, that'd be great.
I would love to do that. Thanks, Dan. Thank you, Lord, for this incredible group of people. Thank you that you've gathered us together, and together we are better than if we're doing this alone. So please bless these people, give them the most incredible 7 days of their year so far. Where they got problems, solve them. Where they need opportunities, give them opportunities. Just may it be an incredible 7 days for everyone on this Zoom. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Hey, thank you, everyone. Appreciate you all. Have a great rest of your week. Be blessed. Thank you, Stu and Kristy. Sensational.
Yes, thank you, Kristy and Stu. That was absolutely brilliant. Two very different perspectives, but absolutely brilliant. Fantastic, Stu. I'd like to hear you for another half an hour, Stu. That was fantastic. And Kristy, I took more notes than I think I've taken off anybody this year.
Fantastic.
Very cool.
Yes, thank you, Kristy. I mean, I'm Sophie. I'm in year 11. I'm 16. So super inspirational, especially coming out of school and jumping into that. So yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, you guys need to connect.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You're not the youngest, Kristy.
No, I'm
Sorry,
not.
Kristy. She just stole that title.
That's good. That's good.
You're like, it would have been nice to know that before. I wouldn't have been as nervous.
Yeah. Awesome. Have a great day, guys.
Very, very good.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Stu, we'll have you back, mate. That was so good.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.
See you next time. Bye.